U.S. Central Command relies on a rotational force presence in the area. So whenever there are times of heightened tensions, we tend to flow additional forces in. When there are times that when tensions are low, forces flow out. So we're at a time where there are heightened tensions, and so we have flowed forces in, including the Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group. That allows us to do several things. One, it allows us to ensure that we protect our forces. We will protect our troops, as we've demonstrated just in recent weeks when we saw a drone approaching and we shot it down because it was approaching in an aggressive manner. We also are able to continue to work with our regional partners and allies to ensure security and stability. So that's another focus and an advantage of having additional forces. And then it allows us to continue to go after our priority efforts, such as ensuring the enduring defeat of ISIS.
So, Captain Hawkins, you mentioned how these rotations that happen, it depends on the levels of tension in various regions. Obviously, it's unusual to have two carrier groups in a region at one time. I want to ask you if this means that the U.S. is on a defensive footing or an offensive footing when it comes to the standoff with Iran. And does having these two carrier groups in the region give you the option to not have to utilize regional military bases in the event of any confrontation?
Well, having additional naval units does exactly what I just said, and that is to put us in the best position possible to ensure we protect our troops. Our troops also are continuing to work with our regional partners and allies who have a vested interest in security and stability. And then, like I said, we're also conducting operations on priorities such as ensuring the enduring defeat of ISIS. So yes, we have additional naval forces. It's not the first time that we've had an aircraft carrier. If we happen to have a second aircraft carrier that arrives, it won't be the first time that U.S. Central Command has operated two aircraft carriers. All to say, our track record is one of working with regional partners and allies to ensure stability and security, and that's what we'll continue to do.
Captain Hawkins, you mentioned a moment ago that earlier this month, CENTCOM had announced that the U.S. military had shot down an Iranian drone that approached the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier in the Arabian Sea. At this moment, when tensions are soaring, how is CENTCOM monitoring Iranian military movements or any perceived provocations, and what measures are in place to deter escalation?
Well, we closely monitor the security environment. That is something that comes with us operating safely and ensuring that our troops are safe and secure, and that we are well positioned to continue working with our regional partners and allies to ensure that they too are well defended. With respect to de-escalation or deterrence, I should say, deterrence from our perspective comes through a show of strength. And so during times of heightened tensions, we are going to make sure that we have the forces in place to protect our troops. That's what you are saying. Additionally, with respect to Iran, as you know, there are some ongoing negotiations, and I won't get into those. Refer you to our diplomats who are leading those efforts. But our focus again remains on ensuring we have the right forces in place to protect our troops, and that's what we're doing.
Captain Hawkins, President Trump has warned that a limited attack on Iran might be an option if attempts at diplomacy ultimately fail. But there's a lot of talk also about plans that have been drawn up for potentially a longer campaign. What does a longer campaign mean? Does that mean weeks? Does it mean months? I mean, I know you can't go into too much operational detail, but I also am curious about how CENTCOM is going about coordinating with regional allies and partners to allay concerns in the event that this becomes a bigger military confrontation.
Yeah, I'm not going to speculate on anything that may or might happen. What I'll tell you is this, is that the U.S. military, particularly in the Middle East, works regularly with our regional partners and allies. We not only work with them, we train with them. In recent weeks, we've conducted training exercises with Kuwait, with Saudi Arabia. You saw last fall us participate in an Egyptian-led military exercise that involved 40 nations. You saw us in Saudi Arabia also last fall conduct a counter-drone exercise in the desert led by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And so we're going to continue to work very closely because we believe that we are stronger together, meaning that by training, operating, working together, we are a more capable force and effective force.
All right, Captain Hawkins, you talk about working closely with your allies and partners in the region. One of the big concerns in all this has been that a flare-up between the U.S. and Iran could lead to a lot of other consequences, that you could see the closure of airspace and waterways, that international travel could be severely disrupted. Are there contingency plans in place to potentially deal with these possibilities?
Yeah, not going to talk through hypotheticals or speculate. What I'll tell you is that our focus is on regional security and stability. And one of the ways in which we do that is to make sure we have the force posture in place to show strength. Another way we do it is to work very closely with our regional partners and allies to ensure that we are well ready to work together if a situation calls for it. And then, like I said, we continue to focus on overall regional security by continuing to address a priority effort of ensuring the enduring defeat of ISIS. That's why we continue to conduct strikes in Syria. You've seen that of late, and we've made progress on that front.
Let me ask you about another angle to all this. There are military analysts that have estimated that somewhere between 40 to 50% of the type of U.S. air power that can be deployed globally is now in this region in order to potentially counter Iran. First, let me ask you, is that estimate correct? And if so, is there any concern that that could leave U.S. interests exposed in other parts of the world?
Those are estimates, those are guesses, it's really speculation, and I'm not going to engage in that. We don't talk specific force disposition or numbers for operational security reasons. What I can tell you is that we have the forces in place to ensure we protect our troops during a time of heightened tensions. That remains our focus, and we'll continue to do that while working with our regional partners and allies to ensure security and stability throughout the area.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news and expert insights. Like, share, stay ahead.